I'm Justine Willis Toms. I'm the co-founder of New Dimensions Radio. New Dimensions is a nonprofit educational organization. And what's come to us is radio, and that's how we educate, broadcasting. We have been finding people to tell their stories, to inspire others. And it's also important that people really look into themselves to know what those gifts are. Sometimes we don't even know what it is that we have to give, and we need help. So that's why we have other people tell their stories. Some of these people are very, very famous. And you think, oh, I could never do what they're doing. I could never be out in the world like that. But what we do is that we help people to see that all of these famous people have origin stories. Someone has helped them to understand the gift that they have to give. Michael and I, my partner and I, started in the San Francisco Bay Area. And this is in the early 1970s. So it was a candy store of consciousness, you would call it. There were all sorts of gurus coming in from the East, from India and so forth, and all sorts of people talking about social change and political change and personal change. And there were conferences and workshops and all sorts of things. But no one was reporting on it. No one, you couldn't read about it in the local newspaper. There were no magazines about it. Nothing, media was not covering this. So Michael and I decided, wow, we should do something about this. So we thought, well, we would go around and we would start to record these, and then we'd offer cassette tapes. And we did that. And then within a couple of months, somebody came to us and said, you know, what you're doing, would you be interested in doing this on radio? And so within a couple of months, we were invited to be on the biggest station in the Bay Area, public radio station. And we started to do 4-hour live every Saturday night. It was an institution for years. And people would call in, and then we made cassette tapes of that, and then people could buy those cassette tapes and have them. And now it's all MP3s and downloads and things like that. But we started off with that, and it was just, we were just lucky to be in a vortex of all of this kind of spiritual and metaphysical and environmental vortex where we lived. So everybody was coming through the Bay Area, and it was just easy to say, oh, by the way, can you come by our studio? And it's been that way ever since. There have been some special mentors through the years. We've done hours with our Buckminster Fuller, Bucky, we call him Bucky Fuller. And I know the first time I met him, I was just so amazed at meeting this. He was very short. In fact, he wasn't much tall. In fact, he was probably my size. He was probably 5'4". And, but he was big in his energy field. And he was so kind. He was so curious about others. He was a lifelong learner. I remember that about Bucky. I remember that also about Joseph Campbell. I remember we were sitting over dinner one time with Joseph Campbell, who became a deep friend. And I remember Michael saying something to Joe. I don't remember what it was. And I remember Joe saying, oh, I didn't know that. And here he was in his late 70s, or his early 70s, I think at the time, and he was still learning. And I think that that's the whole key to all of these people that we've met that really impressed me, is that they continue to be curious about life and curious about lifelong learning. They're not finished. As a nonprofit organization, it's really important that we get support from our listeners. That's our main support, people who hear us, who are inspired by us. And we've been going for 45 years with that kind of funding and that kind of support. I would tell women of the world to find that gift, find that spark of joy. I say follow your joy. When you hear that phrase, follow the money. I say follow your joy, and then find a way to express that in the world. Find partners, talk about it with others. Don't be afraid. Don't say, oh, this is too big. Oh, this will never happen. Forget that. Shut that voice up and just say, I'm going to tell this friend about it. And if that friend doesn't say, oh, wow, that's such a good idea, or I'm interested, find another friend. Find the friends that really resonate with you, and then build from that. Make your gift, give your gift to the world, and let Spirit do the rest of the work.